All right, let's do our awkward intro.
I'm recording.
Okay.
Just now he started recording.
Yeah.
Okay, so even that banter was lost.
Well, I was messing with something over there, so don't worry about it.
Does he live in the house? Or do you bring him in, especially for this occasion?
We do.
He's got a name too.
Yeah.
He's got a name too, Emma. We'll introduce those slowly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do I get a name? Apart from Emma?
By the end of the show.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Baron, how are you? Hi, welcome to That Reminds Me Of, a podcast about film and the films that remind us of that film. You're here with Baron on the dock.
And the maestro.
Do we need another drink? Yes, we do. Yeah.
We have a special guest on today.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Emma Westwood. She is on Zoom in this laptop that you can probably see right in front of us and the camera there. Anyone can Google Emma Westwood and find out all of this information because you've actually been working for quite a bit in, I guess, the industry, I guess is what you would call it, although it's surrounding cinema in a few different ways.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Interesting you would sort of couch it in those terms because I did an interview for a podcast that's called Supporting Characters, and that's what he doesn't talk to people who make films as such or in films, but who are in supporting industry roles. So whether they're writers or commentators or programmers or historians or whatever they may be, founders of festivals or blah, blah, blah. So we're kind of propping up the films rather than making the films.
You're a writer, journalist. You've been on the radio with a film segment. You've written novels about films, specifically horror and sci-fi films. And would you say that's like your niche, horror, sci-fi?
Yeah. Look, it is, and I think somehow as a woman, if you do that sort of thing, people sort of grasp onto that and then go, "That's you. That's what you do." And especially since I'm not. I don't know. I don't have the affectations, I think, that people expect of someone who's into horror. So, I just upset people because they go, "Oh, you look like such a nice girl and you're into these really nasty films," right?
Yeah.
I think that they become a bit obsessed with that. But, in general, I'm a general film lover, so it's not exclusively horror. It's just I've gravitated a lot to horror because I think it's one of the more creative genres of film. I like genre film, and there's so much scope in horror to do things that are really exciting and really outlandish and super creative, that isn't really accommodated in a lot of other cinema. But I like older cinema. I tend to, even though we're talking about a very new film today, so not exclusively that, but I do enjoy talking about classic cinema because it's a way of giving gravitas to today's cinema as well. And when you get this, people jump into or get an understanding of this amazing cinema history we have and things that you can pick out that you never know were there. And in today's day and age, because of the ability to share and find stuff through digital files and all of that, it's really very exciting, and you get to know cinema becomes far richer when you know film history and when you see these magnificent films that everything today has come from, because there's this idea that some people will think that art, they have this perception that art will get better with time, but it's not true. Art just changes with time. I mean, I don't think anything, for example, I don't think any sculptors topped the statue of David, right?
Yeah.
But there are fabulous sculptures now. They're just different, So it's the same with film. You get some really, really spectacular early film works that have never been bettered. So it's super exciting to find them.
Absolutely. And the number of times that I've spoken about The Shining and The Thing on this podcast is a sign of that. Like those two films still for me are held up with the best.
Which one's The Shining and what was the other one?
The Thing.
Oh, The Thing, yes. You'll be pleased to know that my co-author for Seconds, Jez Connolly, actually wrote a monograph on The Thing.
Oh, really?
So
Oh,
he
wow.
wrote a book. He's literally written the book on the thing. So Jez and I have very similar film taste, hence why we've ended up writing a book together.
Yeah.
But yeah, the things are like one of those perfect films. I actually went and saw it recently because someone told me. I actually dropped literally down tools and went to the Astor and saw it because someone said, I've got tickets and I've never seen the thing before. And I went, okay, I want the experience of going to see the thing with someone who's never seen it before. It's too exciting because I can't do that again, obviously. I'm about 30 times watching it. So, I'll just live vicariously through him and see what his reaction is going to be.
Oh, that's beautiful. A while ago, they brought Alien and Aliens back to the cinemas. And I got to take a group of my nephews that were, I think, 14, 16 and 17, something like that, all out to see Alien and Aliens for the first time. They'd never seen these films before on the big screen, and it was beautiful. It was so good. It was such an experience.
I did an intro for the Astor, the 40th anniversary screening.
That would have been it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did the intro with Tristan Jones. So we just got up and kind of faffed on. I actually talked about the formats. I went really uber nerd and talked about the formats because the Alien was on, it was a 4K restoration, and the Aliens that they showed was a 70 millimeter print from 1986.
Wow.
So it was really, and I was talking up the 70 millimeter and I didn't know what the quality was going to be like literally they got it the day before, so I went in there on the night and I said to Zach, I said, what's it look like? He said, go in there now. We've literally got it on now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it was sort of running the credits and it looked great. It had hardly any scratches or anything. So it was like, oh, thank God. My presentation will make sense, this beautiful 70 mil print, because there, anything could have happened to it in that time.
Yeah.
Trashed it.
The Astor is one place where you can get away with talking. That sort of nerd stuff.
That's true.
Oh, well, also I just went, what am I going to say about Alien and Aliens that these people don't know?
Right.
I mean, if people coming out, it's not like they're films that people aren't aware of and that they're gonna be right into it. So I went, I'm not even going to, I'm going to respect the knowledge that I'm sure is here in the room and just contextualize the formats that we're watching, and that being able to, compare and contrast in the one night was great, and see those films alongside each other, which, I love, like you, I think I love for different reasons, both of them, magnificent films.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, speaking of monster films, both of us went out and got this, and they both arrived yesterday. Now, I don't know how that happened because we got them from different sites, and mine's a second handy. Is yours a second handy?
Yes.
Yeah, it's out of print now.
Yeah.
So it was released 14 years ago. Oh, geez, I wonder if I'll get royalties from that now.
I hope so.
You guys have bought it.
I hope so.
I've only skimmed through and I've read the first few pages properly, but it's a smashing little book.
Oh, thank you.
Like it really is. It just is Moorish. I feel like a monster devouring it.
Well, what I tried to do is create it like just a little entry into creating a journey through monster films, and the idea that someone could then go on their own journey. That's why I did little lineage section at the end of each. So, you kind of throw out the tentacles, and I concentrated on the monster themselves, like what the character of the monster in each film. But it's very high level. Like I said, I kind of contextualize it at the start because I only had 45,000 words to write an entire monster movie's history, and you're never going to be able to do everything in that.
Yeah, totally.
Let's just say, yeah.
But what a great selection you've got in here.
I thought
some real favourites of mine.
I'm glad you like it.
Some absolute favourites.
Even some really crappy ones in there too. As in good crappy,
So these interviews in here, did you speak to these directors?
Yeah, I did.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, because I spoke to John Carpenter.
That's the name. When I first opened it and I saw the acknowledgements and you've got John Carpenter's the third name in there, I was like, no, stop it. Really? That's awesome.
Well, it is in alphabetical order. I try to be, equitable.
Yeah.
One of my friends, he's a film critic. His name's Guy Davis, and he kind of lost his shit because his name got to be beside David Cronenberg in the thank yous. I think that was for the Fly book. So,
beautiful. Beautiful.
He was like, I'm beside David Cronenberg. And I'm like, yeah, alphabetical order, dude.
I'm equally as jealous of Bong Joon-ho as well.
Oh,
So,
I thought you might mention that.
He's a lovely man.
Yeah.
Very, very lovely man indeed. And that was before, he had won an Academy Award at that stage. But
the host.
Yeah. What I did with those pieces, so that it's like they've written them, right? So what I did was I interviewed them because I thought I can't ask these people to write something. They're not going to have time. So I just interviewed them, did the transcripts from the interviews, and then just put it together like they were talking through a whole thing, and then sent it back to them, and they read it and said yes or no, right? So basically no one really made many changes, so that was all right. Awesome. If anything, there was one thing, I'll put this delicately, that my publisher took out of the John Carpenter one. And it was because he may have mentioned something about Stephen King's habits at a certain time that the publisher decided may not be a good idea to put in the book.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean,
but fine to put in a podcast.
Yeah. Well,
if you want to.
Plus, Stephen King's talked about his own habits a fair bit over the years.
Well, that's the thing. My publisher just got a bit nervous. So, John Carpenter just went, fair enough. You know, he's pretty cruisy. He's very cruisy.
Awesome.
Very laid back, old hippie feel.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Wow. So, what are you doing these days?
Yeah, what am I doing? Still writing. It takes up a lot of time, but I'm not doing as much radio. I've got a couple of commentaries coming up, but I've got another book coming out. So I do a lot of I just love that sound effect there.
That's Kim making a drink, just so you
I was trying to be quiet. But look,
no.
Emma Westwood, I told you we were going to be drinking, and what did you do?
You got a hot toddy.
I got a hot chocolate.
Apparently you preloaded though. Is that
yeah,
is that right?
A little bit of Kahlua in there.
Yeah, lovely.
Something, bit of whiskey, whatever. But yeah, no, I had a Negroni or two maybe before this, so I just decided to not slur. Try not to slur. I've got another book coming out. So that's on Bride of Frankenstein. So that's the oldest film I've written about. Nobody to interview for that one, let's just say. But I did get the foreword for the book is by Sarah Karloff, who's the daughter of Boris Karloff.
Oh,
so that's pretty cool. And she's a lovely lady. Really, she kind of is the guardian of the Karloff archives and the Karloff estate and everything, the Karloff brands, I guess you could say, and keeps on, making sure her father's work is really still taught and still people know about it and still talked about. Because when he called himself something like the longest or oldest overnight sensation, because when he made Frankenstein, he'd made 81 films already.
Oh my God.
Would you believe?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. So it's a book that's a book of multiple authors. I've authored some stuff in it, but I'm mainly the editor, and I've put a whole lot of people writing about different themes and everything with the film and the legacy and really great stuff. Like some people from Melbourne, some people from the UK, and some people from the US writing about it. So hopefully I think it's looking like a Halloween release.
Yeah.
Appropriately.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Well, you know what I'm curious about is, so I saw in your bio that you had sort of started out at one point wanting to direct and
You read the long bio.
I did, yes. I read both bios just in case there was something.
Okay.
So what got you into writing books about films, specifically the ones that you've chosen? Sort of, you've gone for a very, specific time and genre.
I've kind of gone with the way the wind has blown me, if you know what I mean. Like there's a level of that you sort of choose stuff. Like I remember way back when in the 90s, like sending out stuff, trying to get reviews in places. And I guess things really hotted up because I became the arts editor at Impress, which was one of the street mags here in Melbourne. And that just kind of opened up a whole world of the arts community and everything. I found some new things through that I didn't consider a love before. Like, for example, stand-up comedy. That was something that was kind of came out of the blue, and I ended up doing things like judging the comedy festival and doing a lot of stuff around that. And that was a broadening. And then I sort of came back into just focusing on film again, and because that was sort of the first love of my childhood, that and music. So it was like I circled back. And, I actually met a great group of people in Melbourne. Like there's a really, really exciting, energetic film community who are really respected across the world. But when I say film community, I'm talking about film criticism and film commentary. And I think by getting into that group and working with them, people like Lee Gambon from Cinemaniacs and the Cinemaniacs crew, which is Sally Christie's one of them, who I was on the show with, and Alexandra Helen Nicholas, who writes lots of books, and I was on the show with. Therese Howard. And once you're in there, we just kept on crossing paths, if you know what I mean. And then people get to know you and people get to trust you. And I never did a lot of speaking before. That's kind of a newer thing for me. But the camaraderie to talk about film with people is really quite exciting, which is, I guess, why you guys are doing a podcast.
It is. Yeah, it is exciting, isn't it? And it's not like you can do it with anybody. Like if
that's true.
If you're in the office or you've got a group of friends, you might have one or two people in that group that you can have a really good chat about a film or a TV show with. Yeah, exactly. So I just came across a lot of like-minded people. I've actually, like someone who's become a really good friend, and he became a friend through interviews. Strangely enough, was Jamie Blanks. He's a director of, Urban Legend and Valentine and that. So he lives here in Moorabbin in Melbourne, and so and we hang out a bit. Our worlds have crossed in weird ways. If you were to look up Jamie Blank's Emma Westwood online, you'd find an article on Diabolique magazine that I wrote about Jamie, which is quite personal, and you'll see the story about how our lives kind of intersected. Although I don't think I told the story about how he knew the guy that lived across the road from me, who sadly died just a couple of weeks ago. Seriously, just a couple of weeks ago. This guy, Noel, lived in this very interesting house, let's just say. And Jamie used his film Storm Warning that he did here in Australia. If anyone's seen that film, the serial killer's home in it was modelled on Noel's house across the road from me. And that will say a lot if you see the art direction for this place. It's pretty scary. Wow. Incredible. One thing I saw in there is that you would, at some point you'd worked in a video store or a DVD shop
of course.
So I worked at both as well. I did the video store for about 4 years when I was 15 to something, and then went into a DVD shop. And that is film school. That's completely film school. If you're bringing home, that stack of VHS tapes every week and watching them all, you're getting an education.
Absolutely. No, I loved doing that job, and it was like the perfect job for me. I remember I got a job at a bakery where you kind of had to start at 5 a.m, and I really actually thought that the owner was a bit racist too, and then I walked in and just asked for a job at a DVD it was a video shop, and it was a no-brainer. As I got that, I was like, oh, this is right up my alley. It's not the bakery, the racist bakery. I'm not going there. Okay. So it was just about getting movies, and it was also about taking the they're X-rated ones from the cupboard and giving them to my friends on the weekend too, and just picking the
Beautiful.
ones with the German titles because you knew they would be the most hardcore and would, really blow their minds.
That's amazing. That's amazing. One of my favorite things from the video store is when somebody would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm looking for this film. It's got a guy, and he's got blue eyes." And, they start saying these really obscure details from the film, and you see everybody behind the counter just leans in. And they're all like,
yeah, well, that's June. You're talking about June.
Yeah. That's right. Yes. Who's going to get it get this random video title first?
It's funny though, because it just shows what the impression certain imagery in films can make on people. Like some people will take away a certain part that you'll go, I didn't even remember that in the film. But did he have a blue eyes? Yeah. Really? I didn't know that. But yeah.
Exactly.
Too good.
Yeah, those are good times. I miss that job. Let's go back to that. That was fun.
Yeah. Try and find the video shop or the DVD shop that exists now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's gone, isn't it? There's no kids growing up with that sort of job from 15 anymore, is there?
I know.
It's a shame,
actually. I feel sorry for them, actually, because it was such a good thing to be able to do and just borrow stuff and everything. I guess you can do it in a totally different way now, but in some ways, I used to go on down little rabbit holes, like the way I tried to structure the monster movie book, the idea that you just keep on, you just follow a trail, take the breadcrumbs and just see where they lead you. And you go on these great little journeys, either thematic journeys or director journeys or actor journeys or whatever links it somehow. Even a year, like last year, I did some stuff on radio around, for example, films that had turned 50. So it was all films from 1971. And really, you don't have to watch films from any other year. Just watch films from 1971. Films from 1971, films from 1970, and films from 1972. Pretty good.
Wow.
And films from 1939. If you go and look at the films that were released in 1939, you'll see what a seminal year in cinema it was.
Hot tip.
Yeah, that's what I give to you.
Yes, we'll take that away.
That's so odd. I've been doing the same thing with music. I've been listening only to 1973 for the past month.
Really?
Yeah.
Because 1971 is a good year in music too. There was that wonderful doco series. I think it was an Apple original series, so it's not easy to get unless you have Apple TV. But and it was called 1971, the year music changed the world or changed everything. Sensational.
71.
And 1971. And then you look at what came out in 1971 and it's like, is this for real? No. Not all that stuff couldn't have come out in 1971. Well, you're going from Gil Scott-Heron to Carole King to Marvin Gaye to the Stones, Exile on Main Street. You just keep, it's just one after another. Got big seminal stuff. Then the same thing with cinema, like just really crazy out there stuff. I mean, no one would make Harold and Maude again, like in this day and age. I mean, who's going to make a film about an almost 80-year-old woman in love with a 20-year-old guy and their romantic relationship? I mean, really? No one's going to do that now.
Probably no one's going to do that, but that is awesome. I mean,
beautiful film.
Yeah, you pitch that. I'm like, actually, that sounds great. I want to see that. No
one's game now. No one's game. Like I did a screening of I did an intro for a screening of All That Jazz, Bob Fosse's All That Jazz from 1979, just only about 2 or 3 weeks ago at Acme. Like that film's just a perfect film. It's amazing. But it made some people bristle, I could see, because Bob Fosse, in presenting himself as an semi-autobiographical character, the character is called Joe Gideon in the film, doesn't necessarily present himself in the best light. Like, a lot of people could say he's a misogynist and everything, but the fact is, first of all, it's 1979. It's not 2000. And what are we? 2021, 22? Whatever year we are, 22. There's a little slightly a different attitude in society, but also no one, in terms of the attitudes we have in society now, no one would be game to present themselves in that way. And there are people who are like that. Everyone just acts righteous and that they're also freaking evolved. And it's like, you're not. You're just flawed like everyone else.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
but no one's game to show that, unfortunately.
That is a shame,
so
isn't
I
it?
think it's quite a brave film. If anyone has not seen it, all that jazz, fantastic.
Wow.
Another hot tip. And that's not a horror movie.
No.
Although it's really bleak. I do tend to like bleak films. So, you know, a bit of a downbeat ending and I come out happy for some reason.
I'm the same. I like a bleak film.
Yeah.
I like a dark film.
I like a melancholy film.
Melancholy.
You like to, shed a tear or just, sit and
I like
hug yourself in a corner.
Kind of. I like Woody Allen at the end of Crimes and Misdemeanors, looking at the woman he loves dancing with another man.
I love it.
That's my
That's great. We'll have to dig into that one later.
Yeah, Broken Hearts.
There's going to be a whole episode on that later, Doc.